So every Friday, we talk about what happened this week in the NFC North, and today's Friday, so let's do it. Starting off this edition of Weekly North News, we're going to begin with the Chicago Bears because they have been linked, as they have with every quarterback rumor, to the Carson Wentz trade. Now, last week I think I brought this up and I said I don't know how much, I believe in this because, as I just said, they seem to be linked to every single quarterback rumor / open market deal that is presenting itself. And who's to blame them, considering that your current options are Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles? So we've arrived at the point where day by day, it looks like the Houston Texans are definitive. Like, we're not trading Deshaun Watson. This is not happening. You guys can call all you want, but we're not going to do it. So, of course, they're doing their due diligence. They're moving on. They're like, okay, what else is out there before other teams start to make moves? And it feels like the Carson Wentz trade is imminent, right? I think it probably could even happen tonight because if you're familiar with the news cycle, a Friday night news dump sort of would avoid the talk shows and the morning headlines tomorrow, because tomorrow is Saturday and there won't be a lot of the normal radio broadcasts and TV broadcasts, so you could sort of do it under the radar. There, of course, the Bears aren't the only team that are linked to Carson Wentz. The other proposal that I've seen out there, whether or not it's true, I don't know. Take this with a huge grain of salt. Has been that Carson Wentz is linked to the Indianapolis Colts, and the rumored offer from the Colts is a second-round pick, I believe a second-round future, a third, maybe a fourth, just a lot of, draft picks that are either day 2 or day 3. What's extraordinarily absent from that offer is any first-round pick this year or in the future. And from what I've heard, it sounds like only the Bears are entertaining the idea of sending a first-round pick, whether or not it's this year or in the future, to the Eagles in exchange for Carson Wentz. And it's interesting that if it would be in the future, because the speculation is that Ryan Pace may not be here for very much longer. And, by trading away a future first-round pick, that is not your problem if you happen to get fired. Because if you don't pull off something this season to get this team out in front, then maybe you get canned and suddenly it's not your problem. But I think the Bears will probably like to hold on to their first-round pick this year. And I think the Colts are doing them a favor in driving the price of Carson Wentz down. And I think this is where we'll see a market reset for at least right now. Still got a long way to go before anything really formulates, but I think the Carson Wentz trade is imminent, and the Chicago Bears could be the landing spot. All right, moving on to our second headline of the week for the NFC North. We're going to land on the Detroit Lions because Anthony Lynn did an interview. He made himself available to the media to talk about the offense for the Lions this season, and he said something that I found really intriguing, and that was he views DeAndre Swift as a 3-down running back, and they need him to get more involved in the passing game. And I couldn't agree more. I don't think Kerryon Johnson is really going to be a guy that can carry the load as a 20, 25 carry a game starter for them. It hasn't really come to fruition for Kerryon Johnson in the NFL quite yet, and at this point I don't know if it will. Whether or not they keep Adrian Peterson, I don't know if he's under contract for this season. But they really need to sort of let that go. They need to let the aging veterans go and get these younger guys more reps, more playing time. And I think DeAndre Swift could be a very vital piece to this offense. He could be the Cam Akers of this offense for Jared Goff. He could be the Austin Eckler of this offense for Anthony Lynn. Because what Anthony Lynn was able to do with Austin Eckler after Melvin Gordon was gone was nothing short of great. And if they can get Austin Eckler level production out of DeAndre Swift, that could change the running game for the Detroit Lions. And they haven't really had a running game, or at least much of one, for the better part of several decades, at least since Barry Sanders retired. It's just been running on fumes. So I found that very interesting as a little, interview tidbit from Anthony Lynn. Next, we move on to the Green Bay Packers, who grabbed the third headline spot this week because Aaron Rodgers was awarded his third career MVP. And it's funny I bring this up as the third headline because there was a bit of news for just about everyone in that acceptance speech when everybody found out he was engaged, and everyone was like, wait, what'd he say? And it was just one of those, weird in the moment things where it's like everyone's caught off guard. But the irony of the situation, I think, in my mind, is with Aaron Rodgers winning his third career MVP after we complained all offseason. Well, not everybody, but at least, people that were familiar with the situation, complaining about how they went through an entire offseason and an NFL draft where they didn't give Aaron Rodgers any help after a 13-3 campaign that ended in an NFC Championship loss last year to, I believe it was the San Francisco 49ers. And in the draft, they get his backup quarterback, who could be the future replacement, a running back who isn't an every down running back, and a tight end that they wanted to convert to fullback. That was their first 3 draft picks. And hats off to Aaron Rodgers for managing to win an MVP with the almost same exact roster and cache of weapons that he had from the prior season. So that just, I think in my mind, that speaks to just how much of a great player he really is to win an MVP award after everybody looked at what he had at his disposal on offense and said, yo, this has to get better. But he was just like, you know what? It doesn't have to be better because I'm the best. And he pulled it off. I guess it's a shame for Packers fans that he couldn't do more than that. Finally, we wrap things up with the Minnesota Vikings, the team that you're all here for anyway. And this is just a little bit of, goodwill by the Will family, giving Riley Reiff his $1 million bonus that he would have got had he played a certain percentage of snaps. And I guess the situation is that he missed this bonus originally in week 17 because he had to sit out due to COVID. And the Will family, I guess, in good faith, decided to go ahead and give him this bonus anyway because he was so close to it. He was just like a few percentage points off from hitting the snap total that he would have needed to achieve to get this bonus had he been on the field. And I think what this does, it sort of telegraphs their next move, right? I think that they're going to try to convince Riley Reiffs, like, hey, we're here to take care of you. Here's an offer of goodwill, a gesture of goodwill. We want you to stick around for another season. So could you renegotiate your contract so that we can bring your pay rate down a little bit so we can afford some other players? We'd really like to keep you on for another year. And I think that this is a pretty interesting, I don't want to say it's just a negotiation tactic. I do want to believe that this is done in good faith, but I think the added benefit is that, it shows Riley Reiff and his agent that, we're going to take care of you. So you just please work with us and we'll bring you back for another season. Is that something that can be achieved? I think Riley Reiff could make a lot more money on the open market after the season that he had. He played really, really, really good this year on a very cheap contract, especially for a left tackle, one of the top 3 most important positions in the game. And somebody, another team that's looking to compete right now that is absent a left tackle who feels like maybe that's the missing piece to their program, could easily snatch him up because they'll be, most teams will be in a position to afford to offer him more money. So that is going to do it for the 4th headline, and that's going to do it for all headlines coming out of the NFC North this week. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.